Hello, beautiful people. Octoberween the 9th, and today is all about crystal balls. So divination, I love it when I put my hand behind here, it reflects the light back, but divination of a crystal ball is not one of the easiest forms of divination. In fact, it's quite challenging. Now, this crystal ball was gifted to me by a wonderful client of mine a few years ago, and I absolutely adore this crystal ball. Now, one thing that you must do when you get your crystal ball is cleanse it and dedicate it to what you are going to do. And also, when not in use, make sure it is covered up, because all of that crystal will cause a fire if the sunlight goes through it. You don't want to set your house on fire. It's bad enough as a witch setting your sleeves and hair on fire, let alone the house. So I really love this crystal ball for scrying. However, there are many different types of crystal balls that you may want to use. And I've got some in front of me. I'm going to come back to this one in a little while. This is another one. It's a smaller one that another friend gifted to me. It's the same sort of quality of crystal ball. And I know you can't see it clearly, but that's good, because there is nothing clear about a crystal ball. It is always cloudy and misty within it until you see the picture. Although that's also quite... I'm going to start again. Hello, beautiful people. Octoberween the 9th. Ooh, Octoberween the 9th. We're getting closer every day. And today I'm talking about crystal balls. Now, not everybody is interested in crystal ball readings. We're all different. Some of us may not want to scry with crystal balls, and that's perfectly fine. Some of you may find it incredibly difficult to scry with a crystal ball. And it can be. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of dedication. But there are certain tricks. Now, I'm not talking about fooling a client who comes in for a reading, because that wouldn't be right. To me, the crystal ball gives me an insight into certain things. I'm going to tell you a story I had about a reading that I did online. It was online. It's on my Debbie Wolf Reeves page on Facebook. It should still be there, that I did for a client online. And it's quite interesting. So I'll get back to that in a little while. That crystal ball, this nice big one here, was gifted to me by a lovely client of mine a few years ago. And I absolutely love this crystal ball. I'm already seeing things in it. But I want to tell you that it's not just about seeing things here. It's seeing things here as well. Forgive me for wearing a hat today. I look very disheveled. I got rained on when I was running today. It was a bit hectic out there. So I've got different sizes of crystal balls and different kinds of crystal balls made from different kinds of crystal. So this is another one, a smaller version of the big one that another friend of mine gifted to me. And I find this one's quite handy for carrying with me because it's a lot lighter. I mean, this one, it's not delicate, but if it falls on the floor, it may well shatter. And I don't want that to happen because they're not cheap. But before you use any crystal ball, you should cleanse it and dedicate it and imbue it with the power of the work that you want to do. So you could say something, I would wash this, well, let water run over it. I would pass it through a flame, just above the flame, pass it through some incense or smoke from a little cauldron, and then perhaps have a little bit of earth or grounding underneath, salt, but don't rub salt on it because this is crystal and it will mark. So the idea of divination with a crystal ball, a lot of readers who have been known in the past to use crystal balls, and I'm talking about literature and fairy tales here, a lot of it seems to be fake. But it really isn't. So I have these other crystal balls as well that I use. This one is one of my very favorites. It is a rainbow quartz crystal ball. I don't know if you can see what it's like. It's got all sorts of images in it that appear over time. I have seen dragons in here, unicorns, horses, witches on broomsticks, clouds. It's almost like a nebula of information inside this crystal ball, and under certain light, it has rainbows in it. I'm very attracted to rainbow crystals. Rainbows to me are incredibly meaningful in my life. My grandmother, when I was young, I must have been about just turned 2 years old, because my sister had been born and she was in the hospital, and I'd been staying with my grandma while my mum was in hospital. We're talking about a long time ago now, when mothers had to stay in hospital a long time. She was given a C-section, and of course the wound was staples. It was stapled together back then. And I remember walking down the street with my grandma, and I was holding her hand, and I even remember the outfit that I had on. I had this beautiful red coat, white lace stockings, black patent leather shoes, and a fluffy red sort of hat with a pom-pom on the top, red sort of, not velvet, but fluffy. I remember that outfit. It was one of my favourite outfits as a child. And it had been raining, and so I was trying to step over the puddles and not get my new shoes dirty in the puddles, and there was a rainbow in the sky, and I pointed at it and said, "Look, Grandma, there's a rainbow." And she said to me, "Never point at a rainbow. It's bad luck." And ever since then, I have never pointed at a rainbow, but rainbows have a huge significance for me in my life. My yoga studio was rainbow yoga. While I was studying yoga, I used to wear a lot of rainbow socks and rainbow leg warmers, and they called me Rainbow Girl, Rainbow Stuck. So I've also got this lovely rose quartz crystal ball as well. I know you probably can't see the colour, but I will take a photo and I will pop it onto the community section of my YouTube channel. This one I generally use for readings of love. If people come to me and they say, "Oh, I want a love reading, tell me what's happening," this is the crystal ball that I'll use. Then I have this lovely smoky quartz one as well, which to me, this one and my labradorite crystal ball, which I showed you the other day when I was showing you the dark crystals that you can use for Samhain. This one is a perfect one to use at this time of year for scrying as well. And again, as I look at it, I can see different shapes inside it. And it's how you interpret those shapes for the person that you're reading for. It's not about making up a story. It's about looking deeply into the crystal and seeing something that speaks to you. Trust in your intuition when you use these crystals, because the intuition will always be right. Then I've got my lovely, this was my first crystal ball, milky quartz crystal ball. And again, this has got a lot of different striations inside. You can see the markings in it. And again, this gives me images and pictures. And there is a little tiny rainbow in this crystal ball as well. And just looking at this, I can see today there's a whole load of murkiness going on, and things are hidden from view, but that's normal. If something is not to be told, it will be hidden from view. I also have this gorgeous yellow calcite crystal ball, which I don't really use for scrying. I use this for healing, especially for the solar plexus chakra. So this to me is where this energy comes in. It's our confidence, and yellow is the color of our solar plexus chakra. So this is the confidence and the energy that we want to bring into our life. And as I already mentioned, I've got my labradorite crystal, which I love using at this time of year, and it has all sorts of shapes and symbols and colors. And again, looking at a crystal ball is not sort of doing this and waving away the mist and the clouds. It's more to do with what you see here. So I was doing these readings live, and people had a choice. Did they want a card, did they want a crystal, or did they want a crystal ball reading? So this one specific lady asked for a crystal ball reading. So I was looking at the crystal ball and I saw a kitchen sink. I have no idea where this came from. And I said to this lady, look, I'm seeing a kitchen sink here. I don't know what it means, but it has a meaning for you. And I said to her, that's all I'm seeing is just this kitchen sink. It's really shouting at me and it seems to be really important. So later on, she messaged me after the readings because these were live. And obviously a lot of people don't want to give information, and that's fine. I don't like to be given information when I'm doing readings. I prefer to do a blind reading. I prefer a person to not tell me their life story. So afterwards, she sent me a text message and she said to me, you know, Debs, the kitchen sink makes perfect sense. Her mother had passed away and her son had taken up residence in the house, and there was a problem with the kitchen sink. These things come through that are so arbitrary and random that you cannot fathom why you're getting that image. But there is a reason, and that reason is what that person needs to hear at that time. So practicing with a crystal ball, it takes time. It takes a lot of work to be able to trust in your intuition. With tarot cards, you have an image that you can work with and relate to and relate it to the customer. With a crystal ball, there's nothing. There's nothing in there. It is the energy that you're seeing that relates to that person. So, if you have a crystal ball, try to scry with it. I'd love to know your experiences. Pop them down into the comments below. Also, I want to say thank you to all of my new subscribers, all of you who are following the channel. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so, so much for your support. And if you do have any questions about crystal balls, pop them into the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Please, 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 to get the viewership up on the channel, because YouTube has a very weird algorithm. And I hope to see you next time. Blessed be.